Hello, so this is the third to last story, I think, yeah, something like that. And yeah, so this is an interesting Titanran story. So I've already mentioned in other commentaries about, it's a story about how the Titanran's world. It turns out that the Titanrans weren't the original homeowners of this planet. There was another race exploring that planet until they got wiped away. And I think looking back, it's not like the best idea. Um, yeah, I feel like that should, suit another planet, another world of some kind, but probably not the Titanran one because the world really suits the Titanrans, especially with the vegetation. But um, I guess we'll just see how the story goes. And yeah, these are the Blups, which are, they have like spikes and yeah, slightly fish inspired up too. Not the best design, yeah, that I could had planned, but never mind. But yes, here with the poster, yeah, there's Carpo with a beard, Vondor, Scabe, and yeah, Scabe was introduced in the sequel. And then this is our protagonist Titanran, a new one. We'll get more in depth into him, and it's explained why they're different. Although I don't know, yeah, why does he? Because they're more pale because they're older, but why is he? I'm not sure. And yeah, this is a mech Titanran as well. Really cool idea, which you will see later on. So yeah, this is pretty much the the Titanran's very own story. Compo, Vondo, or Diak, like like a decent duo, with their vegetation, and then the Fist, and then Scabe is like totally alternative, and then the protagonist also has his own unique traits. Um, but yeah, and then there's this line of the Blups there, I guess just show the number of them. So it's an okay poster, should have been better. I think it's just the format of this poster as well. It's a bit off, but never mind. And maybe both letters should end with an S in Titanrans versus Blups. I think like that should yeah, be the case. Um, anyway, we'll pop onto the story. Yeah, so even I've looked to this story for ages, so I'm willing to interested to see how this holds up. So this is the planet Concro. So this is the same planet as those bouncing creatures of the first official book. And so yeah, it's this world, and it's like more in a mountainous area. Even the mountains have snow on top. It's something that kind of finalised in the final guide, to make Concro more variety in its locations. But because I still really like the land, like these floating rocks with the vegetation dangling. Yeah, it's like a fairly nice colour scheme. So I feel like this is the setting I might continue forward. Even this great eye over here, he's alone in this world, which is quite interesting because yeah, it looks like not every alien sticks to their world. There's some that might want to settle in other worlds, and yeah, he's an example. He's got a decent house there. So yeah, it's a cool concept, and yeah, we'll just get the screaming stories. So what's this big paragraph? Before the Haphazard Legion were even an idea, some of Xanthar's forces at the time attempted to fight the Titanrans in an effort to get rid of them. Whilst the Titanrans were successful, one gave some eggs away in the hope of the race continuing elsewhere. Sadly, the eggs got separated, one of them landing with Amic at planet Concro. So yeah, Amic is the name of the dude here, and yeah, it's planet Concro. And so yeah, because I think if yeah, I think the idea was that because there's the war 100 years ago, and it looks like yeah, I think the Titans managed to continue surviving, getting attacked by other Psynful forces, and yeah, it looks like as a safety precaution, yeah, the mum yeah, sent her eggs away, and yeah, they have eggs because they're reptilian, so ish, despite being alien, and but yeah, because I think all of the eggs, well, those who came from the eggs, I think they did all come back, but this one's the last one, so it's almost like a side quest. They try and find some more bits and bobs of over time, and but yeah, I think it would have been better if our protagonist had run, um, united with the others by being like, oh, United wasn't there, that was separated, but come back to the Titrans because we all have to sit together, which is a consistent rule with the Titrans too. So yeah, even if this description's a bit up in the air, so some idea force at the time, our chances is an effort to get rid of them. Yeah, so they were fine. But yeah, it's not it's a contingency that's not too bad of an idea. Like, granted, maybe some of the eggs should have been, blown away together, because you need, like, multiple Titrans to commute on another planet instead of just having one on its own. Um, oh, but oh no, it's all eggs getting separated. So maybe some were more grouply than others, but yeah, he was just sent on his own, that's for sure. So yeah, there's a little Titran just coming out of his egg. It's kind of a cute visual. Kind of like it. And then Amik says, "Hey Titran, oh my God, what are you doing here? Let's get you fed, not feed." Never mind. But yeah, it sounds northern because they just ending with hey at the end. I think that's what. I think that's. I'm rubbish with UK languages, yeah, because every UK person pretty much speaks differently, yeah, regardless whereabouts they are. So yeah, and yeah, I like the greenery in the land as well, and yeah, and also yeah, the kind of entirely different costume or suit for the Amik as well, because yeah, they normally wear darker clothing, but yeah, his looks like it's made out of vegetation almost. So yeah, let's go on to the next page. Okay, so I don't know how many years later, but this will definitely be after. Um, oh wait, so if working out the continuity, um, so before the Legion were a thing, so we're talking about, like during that 100-year gap between that, because yeah, it's a 100-year difference between the Elemental War and then when the Legion came along. So that's where the egg first came by. But now we're definitely in the future, because Scabies Destroyer, the team of Titrans are older, which means that this Titran should be proper age 2 unless they age slowly. Does that mean Compor and Vondel are a lot older then? Maybe that's the case, yeah, not going by human or animal age. Looks like they have a lot of longevity. And so yeah, I don't know why the Titran looks too different, but what makes this Titran different is um, he's more agile, and it's just because normally because I remember because I really like the Titrans, have been a creation of my head for ages. I used to have them as like climbing creatures, yet strong ones, but recently I kind of made them more like ground level kind of creatures, and whilst they were able to hop from one building to the next in the fourth book when they were higher up, and not to mention with the vegetation to assist them, but they're like big bulky creatures, it's quite hefty, but with this Titran being brought up differently. He's more bouncy, less bulky, and also doesn't speak. Yeah, which yeah would make this Titran stand out. Because yeah, Amik speaks, so it just makes you wonder what the reason for that is. I should have come up with one. But what I also like about this story is that, I guess it's just exploring, what if, like, even if this is like a lot of variations, it's still playing with an idea of a Titran on another planet and getting brought up by another alien. And so, yeah, it's choosing the planet to the alien. Even the alien's not of this world as well, so that further mixes things around. And yeah, with all of these vines about, yeah, you can definitely tell he likes swinging. Not the most convincing. Yeah, maybe the vine should have been a bit more angular to show that it was being interacted with, but never mind. So the paragraph. Years later, after Gara's fall, yep, so we're in the future. Amicus continues to look after his Titran Laguna. Lighter and more of a climber compared to an average Titran, but also non-verbal. So yeah, cool name. I like that one. And so yeah, Safari would just being them two for quite some time, because this planet definitely has maybe they have commuted with other races, definitely ones that are on this planet. But if not, if it has it just been them two, then it would have been nice to know why Bamek was alone in the first place. I think because there's more of a scientific race at the time. I think they I think Amik wasn't so keen on science, so he just wanted to live a peaceful life, and then he could continue that way after getting a new Titan to look after, which is nice. So yeah, either way should have been clarified too. So he knows just the climbing, so yeah, just a tiny bit of banter, I suppose. But yeah, we'll go on to the next page. Okay, so trouble is up. So after being familiar with what the status quo is somewhat like, and yeah, I don't, these camo heads look a tad off. Oh yeah, because I think they're meant to be a bit like that. So yeah, what happened? Why is that? Looks like their face is dangling. Anyway, so this is meant to be a net, yeah, completely caught it, and maybe the net should have been thinner, but I guess it's still nice and thick. But it looks like the holes are massive. But it's a big creature anyway. I don't think he'll be squeezed through any hands or anything. So yeah, the second camera's got this net that might have been net launched, unless it was just thrown upon them. Maybe that's like a weapon on stun. I'm not sure. But yeah, looks like an ambush at that point where the Amik's been knocked back, and I don't know what he must have a device of some sort. So he's just saying, calling in Legion members. So he must have like a device on him just in case any trouble comes to him. And I guess the trouble has never really come to him until now. So yeah, good to be safe, but would have been nice to know why he had that in the first place, despite the good guess from me. And yeah, so this camo says, our Repile client is right. There is a peculiar Titanran here in this world. So Repile is Slivrock's race. Yeah, they're the scheming kind. And yeah, I don't know how they found out about this Titanran. They must have had a casual been exploring various planets, and if they wanted to, like to trade creatures, then yeah, I bet he's like, no, spotted this one. And I'll tell you what, because I was kind of hesitant to come up for it because I'd probably find Titanran's a bit scary. But if you lot get him for me, then I'll pay you. But it's another bit of headcanon, but yeah, oh gosh, yeah, these details are important. Yeah, never mind. But also, yeah, as because in that detective story I've thought of once for add down to like another one, because even that was good to involve like a case of animal trading and going across the universe and then exploring various concepts. The concept which I still like to explore, but this is almost like that concept being played with a little bit. So yeah, they're all caught, and yeah, Legion's gonna come about. He's probably explained what's happening, and then a certain set of dudes come along. Sorry, I just found. I was just laughing at something else earlier. Anyway, okay, so yeah, it's the Titanran's coming about. And so this one is, this is the only normal Titanran. You just use vegetation to perhaps disarm this camo. And then Carp has this one upside down. Wait, Carp, that's Carpe. Vondor, he looks like he's using his vegetation more. And so, yeah, it's got them on airborne. And even both of them are fine as they are. Amic says, "Oh my, it's Carp and Vondor. They've helped the Legion fight Zynfor, as far as I know, from the stories." So yeah, even he is aware of stories. So yeah, even if he's on his own, it looks like he does keep track of all sorts. He's done his research, and he knows who them are. Yeah, they're like the famous set of beings they are. So yeah, some variety of how they come about, but you can tell they're older. This is a younger one, and we all know that Lagoon is like different, so that's why all of them have different colours. But yeah, kind of a cool visual. Maybe could have applied more Titanrans, but never mind. But you've got this clear foreground, you can still see more of the setting too. So yeah, let's see what's next. Okay, so this is where Amic and Carper have a chat, mainly about how all the Titanrans have to stick together. Because Amic is allowed to see him, of course, as evident by the last page, but yeah, it's just like a consistent rule which the Titanrans like to do, which is, fair enough if that's how they would like to do things. Because I think they will be allowed to roam on other planets, but just definitely come back, don't have a home elsewhere. So Amic is like, so let me get it straight, because of those cameras earlier, you're taking Lagoon away from me. And then Carver then says, it is our law to keep the Titanrans in one planet for consistency. Should have been space. Judging from Lagoon's age, he looks like one of the eggs that was sent off. We have made that a side quest, and that we must have them all as a unity. We promise to look after her, and you can visit when the time is good. Okay. Also, I guess Lagoon is a she. Okay. Yeah, maybe it could be. She could be like a different color because of gender. I think that should have been clarified too, because I thought she was a different colour because of the surroundings she was brought up in. But yeah, most likely wrong. But yeah, this is pretty much oh yes, this is the same setting but in daylight, and it's flipped because yeah, this is the house and this is the setting. Yeah, okay, that's quite subtle actually. So yeah, Amit is a bit on edge because he's like, oh, just to keep her away, and but he's just wondering if the camera's getting involved here. That's why she's taken away. But Carpenter's just clarifying that now. It's just a law thing. The cameras have very little to do with this. And yeah, not only is it cool to bring the cameras back, after book 5, to see him, what they're like, they're like hunting, but although we don't really see them again, like if they're not got that Titanran, then I don't feel like Sliverock's race will be very pleased, but never mind. But yeah, for consistency, and yeah, if it's a Titanran on a completely other planet, then yeah, there's a good few reasons why they will come to the conclusion of being like, oh, yeah, that's one of the eggs sent off because that only it looks like it's a one-off thing that Mum did once, and it would have also been nice for Laguna to be like, oh, who were my parents, but oh well. So yeah, and again, it's not clarified whether that's all the eggs. And then you promise to look after her, which yeah is kind of the case. But yeah, Laguna's quite independent, so she doesn't need much looking after. And yeah, visit her when the time is good, which obviously becomes the case at the end of the story. Okay, let's go. So yeah, we can see that Scabe's sticking around with them, so even he's sticking with them, which yeah, the sequel must have done something, but yeah, I don't remember a moment where Scabe was like, oh, I'll join the Titrans now, even if you are getting involved with the Legion, but no, he's even sticking around, which is good, because he did like isolate himself at one point because of the mistakes he's made, but it looks like he's getting on just fine. Yeah, because we even get a couple of bits and bobs about him, which we can learn from. But yeah, I really like his design, with the vegetation and the different colours. Yeah, it looks so cool because it is the same shell as well. But yeah, it's just really good. But yeah, he's been that colour because of the life force he's been absorbed. But anyway, so we can see that all of their Titrans. Yeah, I like how they darken as they go into the cove. That's actually kind of a cool detail. But yeah, that's their home, this tree with a cave. And yeah, because I really like how the storybook made the land sadly a bit barren aside from a cove. But yeah, in these comic pages, yeah, it's a bit more full of life, which is really cool. Anyway, so yeah, and that's Laguna with the climbing. She's gone on top of this cave, which isn't really allowed. Yeah, as said by Vondor here, the strict one. Oh, don't climb on top of that main cave. So your main cave definitely says something too. But you're not to mention, because of the mixing in colours, it kind of makes them hard to see sometimes unless you have a brightness up. So Scabe says, "Wait, no, hang on. I thought Laguna was a she." Unless because I once thought that was Carper referring to looking after the mum after sending her eggs. Could that be the case? But we don't see the mum again. So that's both missed opportunity and something not clarified. But anyway, so just talk about how this Tatran's unique, and then Carper then says, yes, it may be more of a climber, less strong, and has no speech, but I'm sure he'll feel at home too. So yeah, she kind of settles rather quickly, like because I was thinking of a whole heap of fish out of water scenarios which could have been fun to do, and aside from this one, it's not really something that's been explored much of. And not to mention, when she finds out the truth, there wasn't enough for her to see what the status quo is like. So when she finds out that things aren't what they seem, there's not much of a shock factor because of the blacker setup. But at least I know where I kind of went wrong. It's just the price of oversimplifying the story. So maybe more of a climber, less strong, no speech, so less strong. So yeah, I bet the titles must do. And although I don't know, because if Laguna likes the climbing, with the vines, she should be we'll say I think we'll make Laguna a he if that's been the common thing. So I think Amit was just talking about the mother earlier when saying she. Anyway, and so yeah, I don't understand the less strong part, but I feel maybe it's because the Titrans eat more, therefore bulk up more. Maybe the vegetation around them makes them tougher. Yeah, that should be clarified a bit more, sorry. So for home soon, which yeah, Laguna does, set it around this area well enough. But yeah, I think that's all I can say for this one. So yeah, let's go. So yeah, you can see how the final guide at the time did help add some life in these worlds, because with the Titanran planet, I remember thinking, oh no, should the Titanrans own this planet? But no, I did mix in a good amount of wildlife, such as a race that can dig. There's already vegetation that's somewhat alive. There's a squid creature deep in the water, but there's also these elephant-like creatures which I came up with, and they were there. They're very like close to elephants. They're not they don't talk to each other like the Titanrans do, because they actually speak. But these elephant creatures, yeah, they're just mind their own business. So yeah, that's like an indication of the planet being like well shared to some degree. And yeah, we've got the Blups, which we'll see later. Not to mention, I don't like how this baby Titanran's tail's a bit too short. It should have been one more block. No mind. So the point of this scene almost is that after Gluna being like somewhat criticised for climbing, instead it comes to good use when saving this little one that's gone up a tree. I don't know how. Maybe the vegetation ended up being too high, or but I'm not sure, because even the Titanrans would have used vegetation or climbing that way up as they manipulate the vegetation to go make their way up, but instead Laguna climbs instead. And also, I forgot to mention that I don't think Laguna has any idea about her vegetation powers, so I'm surprised there was no like moments of being like, oh, why is the vegetation going on like this? That's a bit unusual, because Pod, in his trident, before understanding the power fully, the trident was doing all sorts of weird activities, so it's a bit of a shame there was no like setup, or just like a moment from like that. But at least Laguna helped save the little one, so that's good. Oh, but yeah, Vondor's like, oh no, what is he doing up that tree? Well, at least we have our climber, so he's always like, yeah, it looks like the climbing could be useful, certainly quick, help the situation then. And so yeah, he was like, despite not what you should be facing upwards, being like, well, what are you doing up here? But yeah, it looks like Laguna's saved the day almost, which is nice. But yeah, it's a fairly nice area, and we can probably assume it's another big tree as well, so that's neat. I like massive trees. But yeah, let's get going. Yeah, so this is inside the main cave, and it looks like Scabe and oh no, hang on, this is the I think this is out of order. Sorry, we'll come back to this page. Sorry about that. Yeah, there you go. So I had to quickly find the comic, and yeah, this part of this presentation was missing these 2 pages. So yeah, I got them now, and it's all sorted. We're back in order. So yeah, Scape kind of becomes like Laguna's mentor almost, or like a new friendship being formed, because they're the 2 most unique Titanrans in the area. But whilst it's a bit of the outcast theme, which has been throughout the Haphazard Legion stories, all across, it's not as emphasised here because it does have other focuses, but it's something at least. But yeah, this is inside the main cave, and yeah, it looks like the centre of the tree within a tree. Which is alright, yeah, it could be like a massive root. There's vegetation around, and these are like thick leaves, we can presume, and it's like the wall of the thing as well. So it's a fairly cool thing. I remember being vaguely inspired by a Minecraft creation, like a giant tree to be inside of. I just thought that was kind of neat. And yes, escape. I have been away from this world for far too long. We'll settle back together as buddies, with a question mark. So yeah, so that outcast thing has been slightly acknowledged, but they're like, it's going to take comfort in each other to be like, we'll settle together, because it's just like a grand catch up. Well, Escape at least has been, in this world before, but I think it's been a long time. And with Apara being about, I don't know, like 20 or more, yeah, I think that's how long Skate would have been away, because yeah, it was just both creating that and then applying Life Force to him, which which kind of gone wrong, because yeah, his body's kind of changed forever, but he has a whole heap of unique abilities, at least. And yeah, there's a load of Titanrans community down there as well, which is nice. So yeah, let's get going. Yeah, so maybe it was like a normal Titanran gathering, or maybe if it's like where they party. I don't know. There was no instruments, but never mind. Oh, this is the. I can't. What's happening here? Um, that, that's a comp. That's meant to be Carpo. Is he lying down? Did I accidentally like flip his pad around somewhere? I can't see where his body is. Oh no, it looks like an odd creature because he's meant to look like this, but with the the beard which you've seen before, but it looks a bit mixed up. I don't know what's happened. Regardless, so he's like that. Oh, oh, hang on. So Bondor first they shouted, "The Blups! What's this unneeded terror against us?" And so even Garbo says, "That's Laguna moved the young away from this ambush." And yeah, so unfortunately this page is a bit messy. Yeah, I think if we thought if the setting, I think there was an effort to make the setting a bit darker, but even then it's quite messy because yeah, this is like the hard vegetation. That's the Titanran behind the speech bubble. That's the wall and the center root. And then yeah, Copper's here summoning some vegetation. That too is fire. Fire's there. That's Blup with a massive gun. And then that escape, so he's just summoned one massive vegetation from his back to carry the Blups up. And even Laguna's carried a load of little ones. So yeah, it's a cool image, but once again you have to like really look hard. Now, not to mention this is the first proper like visual mix up. I have no idea what's happened there. But never mind. So it's essentially the battle fight scene, and the Blups ambush them. And but yeah, the Titans kind of win and get away. So yeah, it's just an attack which is given context later on. All right. So yeah, let's move on. Okay, and then so this is after the battle. So this is the page accidentally went on before, but yeah, the four of them are here, discussing things. I feel like the other Titrans should be around to listen, but never mind. So Carpo then says, "That was the Blups. We gave them the spot in space. Why did they attack us?" And then Skaven says, "I'm not sure. We are going to have to confront them. They have been in this world for 30 years and made their own technology. They used to use natural resources. So okay, so yeah, they're next generation Blups, which they've helped bring back, and they've placed them in their own planet. So yeah, they're up for sharing. So that's for sure and is clarified. Yeah, I don't know how they made their own technology. Maybe they've mined through the ground. But if you're like a race that's coming back in 30 years, how would you then go on to technology that quickly? That's like if cavemen managed to start creating technology, that'd be quite a feat. So yeah, maybe the Blups are smarter when first coming about. I don't know. But if they've been in this world for 30 years, then even the oldest ones, yeah, would be 30. So I feel like the British should have been on this planet for longer. And why they use technology now when they used to use natural resources. But yeah, story-wise, yeah, the Blups like the technological? No, they like the tech-based foes which the Titrans have to face. And but yeah, there's just a lot of missed details. Gonna have to confront them, so yeah, it's gonna see them, so that's something. And yeah, even Carper's like, why did they attack us? So it's a bit of a mystery there. So yeah, this is last time in this cove, inside this tree cove. And also, yeah, to have a cave and a tree like mixed in that way, it's just something about that which is kind of cool of an idea. But anyway, yeah, let's get going. Okay, so maybe because it's the following day or something. I'm not sure how they had the chance to train, and not to mention we've got a bit of a mix up with some colour in there. It looks like an extra bit on his head, but no, it's vegetation, which you can see across there. But we're seeing all sorts of different settings in this world that I kind of like too. Exploring this world because yeah, we didn't really explore much in the main pentology. Just the cove really, because even the cove is what has the life force too. I'm surprised the Blups didn't try and go for that, but maybe it was an idea, but decided not to. But if they like their tech, then I don't see why not. Okay. So Gabe says, So whilst the bosses go and see the Blups, we can continue this training. You're doing rather well. Okay, so they're going to go see them. Okay, so they're just training in the meantime. And yeah, this is one of Scape's moves. You can see because as because if you remember, an average Titanran controls the vegetation around them, but because of what Scape did to himself, he made it so the vegetation is spawned within him, which like I said, yeah, just a very neat alternative approach with Titanran character. Yeah, you can see the vegetation extended his limbs and that. And yeah, Lagoon is like jumping about, and yeah, it's a nice area to practice. Okay. And also I feel like this tangent's bothering me too. Oh my god, yeah, it nearly matches the tree. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, we'll get going. Yeah, so this is meant to be the foreground and then the background, which it should have been better clarified, but it's a hidden building behind that, which I quite like, behind this dark vegetation too, so that's kind of cool. The old ones leading these Titanrans again. It just makes you wonder what the other old ones look like and where they are, but never mind, at least we can tell who we're following the most. So Carpe says, okay, Vondel, now we have that location, we better call the others, let's regroup and then we'll pay them a visit. Okay, so that's not too contradictory, because it is just because Gabe said they were going to see the bosses, but now it's like, oh yeah, now we found them, let's go and regroup, which is I guess like a wise idea, even if it's a tad the plan's not totally linear. But yeah, there's Blup just looking around as well, just in case, and Titanrans are well hidden behind this hill, presumably. Let's regroup. Yeah, and they used a communication spell, I think. So yeah. Alright, yeah, let's get going. And it looks like more of the land is varied with this yellow about, which is it looks a tad over detailed, but I guess it's just just more additional land, what it was like behind this thick vegetation, and then this is probably like the building and then the wall. So it's kind of matching their colour scheme, which I quite like. So yeah, just exploring different types of lands. Oh yeah, that's a mech rhino, by the way, I think. There's like a cool mech creature, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, I like bits and bobs of it. Okay, so Carbo then says, right, Carbo here, you should know who I am, the leading Titanran that helped you bring the race back years ago. Why all this attacking the beast towards the land? And then he replies with, so I feel like they should have a leader too, unless they all just as leading, who knows, but never mind. Thanks to going to other planets, we learned that this planet was ours, wasn't it? Weren't we the primary race before the scout decided to extinguish us before time for etc. were even a thing? And then Scape then goes, Carpal wonder, is this true? Have we faked our role in this world? So if going through all these conversations, so yeah, the Blups are there first, had the planet ourselves, and whilst because what kind of confused me, so the skull is basically like humanoid polar bears with the definitive ice abilities, but that's changed in the reboot, but it looks like at one point they went for each other, and I think this is probably during the era before the Naravas were, oh yes, yeah, before the Signful era, so yeah, looks like a type of conflict that happened beforehand, which is yeah, I guess just goes to show that all of this violence was even a thing before the Naravas were coming along, and maybe it's just like the failure that the godly beings, like when the elements were alive, they failed to save the Blups, but yeah, it looks like they were going forward and back plans as well, which the Titanrans seemed as fine. And I guess the Titanrans, just being like, you have this spare area, so that's fine. After finding out, about your race, and also all this technology could have come from other planets too. But yeah, I think it would have been like too mean to give the Titanrans a like a no flying rule almost, no going to ships. But you have to can't narrow down the the limits of what other beings could do. It's about giving them some freedom. Just like in the Otter comic. But yeah, so they've done some research, and I don't know where this research came from. Maybe like an expert, I'm not sure, being like, oh, did you know this race was before the Titanrans? And so they didn't like that idea, so they just thought to fight back, but they're making it sound like, oh no, so you decided to take over the planet once you were placed there, and just like take it for yourself. And sure, you brought us back, but you still gave us like limited space when it's meant to be our planet. So yeah, it should have been a bit more of a debate, but yes, it's just a bit vague in places as far as I can see. It's a cool idea, but yeah, but even then, I'm just a bit kind of unsure because it's like the land suitable for the Titanrans, and whilst it's a I guess it's almost like a reverse thing where the Titanrans are like, it's of course that world, look at the vegetation, need for the Blups to be there first. And not to mention, does that mean the Blups were even there before the Titanrans were as well? That could be something. But I don't know, I just feel like some of these races would have been made like all at once until the Narvas come along. They were like separated, like come about in their own time. So I think that's the yeah. Anyway, so let's just go through. So yeah, it's confronting why the attack, and so yeah, this is partial an answer, just being like, we just found out about this and we're kind of mad about it, but that doesn't quite answer the question. But even Escape, just come back is like, it's like, is all this true? And yeah, because after coming back, he's like, I've just thought everything goes back to normal, but was that like the case? Has it never been normal since? So yeah, Escape, who's coming back, trying to adjust everything. Yeah, it's just potential conflict ideas in that. So yeah, just sadly another missed opportunity, which is yeah, a bit of a shame. Yeah, you can definitely tell that I think this was one of the next comics, and sadly it's a bit just too small to generate any substance, because a lot of this is just very it's quite surface level. But what I like at least is that this is like the first attack they've done. So yeah, at least it wasn't a reoccurring thing, because that would have caused problems. It would have been like, why didn't he come from them earlier? But it looks like it's the first time, and they gave each other some peace, and who knows what the ending looks like. But yeah, it's almost like this significant point in like the midpoint / low point almost. Oh no, I think the midpoint is Escape. No, yeah, when Escape is like teaching Laguna some bits of bobs, and looks like she's good at fighting now. But anyway, on to the low point where a big piece of information is revealed. So I'm a bit mixed about it. Yeah, it's just it might be. I think it's kind of because I really like Laguna and the concept about her, but I'm not so keen about the bit of the whole Blup side of thing. I don't think I'm going to continue that in the reboot. I like Scal's involvement here, because do you remember when in the sequel comic I showcased what a normal Titanran looks like to further clarify, but when we were like, we wonder what's the Scales, because at least if reading the other material you could be like, oh yeah, it's that name, but the Scales were never introduced, so yeah, it's good to put a visual on to be like, okay, so that's what it was. Okay, and maybe to make these subtitles more speech bubbles easier, I could have kept visuals in each one. That could have been something to play with, but the era comics is done now, and yeah, even Laguna looks a bit disappointed there, with a lower head. Yeah, I think that's something, and I think that was just there to add some guard. Okay, yeah, let's hop onto the next page. Okay, so this is the motorbike. Oh, I've sneezed as well. Come on. There we go. Anyway, so yeah, Laguna is freaked out by the news, so it looks like he's trying to run away and escape. Is catching up using his powers, with his limbs stretched out again. And then yeah, so robotic element, transform on Titanran, and then another one is in a nexus suit of some sort. So that is like a cool creative idea. I like how that's translated, even if the arms seem a bit thin, but never mind. So escape. Wait, Laguna come back. It might be a lot to take in now, but we'll sort it out. I know I'm shocked by that. I know we'll all sort it. Not the best line, but I suppose after hearing the news, I guess it's like, oh, I know that we'll get around it. But yeah, this would be, new to Laguna, in this big social situation. So yeah, um, I think that's what I can say for this one. This looks like other parts of vegetation, like is it like the more detailed version of all of this behind, or something like that? Yeah, it's not the most like not the best layout, but okay. But yeah, I kind of like how the evidence translated there. Yeah, there's some earth animals which I'll definitely like to use every now and again. It adds some variety to wildlife. Even some aliens could borrow some, elephants and that, because they're quite good creatures. I say, if you're an elephant fan, on Netflix there's a film called Heart of the Wild, and I'm not, I need to, um, well, I'm not sure how people rate that film, but it does have natural elephants in, and yeah, you get to see them a lot. Yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, I do recommend that. Yeah, and there's a couple of famous people as the leads. Granted, I've got their names, but I'm kind of rubbish with celebrities. I'm at an age now where I know I lived a quarter of my life, and I'm just like sparing my head for memory. It's like when you watch an episode on a detective show, and and yeah, like your head's like, okay, this person, this person, this person, but then once the episode's done, yeah, those names are just off because I actually can't. No one's going to be, unless you're like a super fan of a detective show, whether it's Death Paradise, Vera, Silent Witness, you're not going to expect, well, yeah, like to remember the names of literally everyone. Um, but anyway, yeah, so that's a bit tangent. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so Escape looks like he's going to say something good. And okay, so Lagoon is by there, they're by these elephant creatures. Forgotten the names, but never mind. So yeah, I think it's just a bit downtrodden, not knowing what to do. Alright, so Escape, not Laguna. Moments like these make you feel like your whole world is flipped. Look at me. I not only created a hybrid, but I openly made myself into a plankton-invading life form. I decided to leave once I lost my sense of belonging, but then the Legion came by, and working together to save the universe made me realise that I should always stick around to help, or at least get answers. You may be a new Titanran in this world, which may not what it seems, but let's find these answers together, or at least assist the solution. So yeah, it's nice to go back to where he was, first introduced, and whilst we never got like a proper focus of him in the comics, but regardless, he's talking about how he's um, sorry, he's talking about how by being with the Legion, it's helped him out, how to figure things out, just by working a team, and any kind of community spirit, it definitely helps you get you back on board, and yeah, it makes you feel better about yourself, and yeah, and it did reconnect with Apollo as well, and despite looking different, but he still has a whole heap of unique abilities, and yeah, it's yeah, I quite like this monologue. Yeah, I feel like this does give Tim some character, even if it's not an awful lot, and activity in the universe. Which may be seen, but let's find answers together, or at least assist the solution. Yeah, so if find answers together, which we can already assume be a off-screen kind of thing. But I feel like if we do come back to these two, like the reboot and such, yeah, I think there'll be like two oddities working their way through the universe together, which is kind of neat. Even Laguna could perhaps speak too, which is possibly a good idea. And yeah, and even if they might not get answers, but because a lot of things can be unanswered when going through life, but sometimes when you help solve a problem, then I think that's where you can just start feeling better about yourself then. Anyway, lost but then came by way to go and see the universe. Yeah, I think pretty much they got the gist of that. Yeah, you see, he's just summarising, what he's been through and how he felt before, and yeah, so it helps that in a visual sequel in some way. Sequel, you may not, I don't know what, which. Yeah, so it's just also acknowledging that yeah, there's a lot we're going through, but we'll be fine eventually. And even with these elephant creatures behind, yeah, I think that adds like a sense of like adding to the theme of community spirit. So yeah, yeah, we'll go on to the next page. Okay, so this is pretty much the official battle, and what has to be yeah, that elephant's flipped. Uh, two bazooka users. That's detect Titanran. I don't know where. Oh, it's probably the legs producing the jet. Okay, and that is a turtle. Yeah, which is neat. Yeah, it's a mixed suit again. And oh, so that's yeah, one Titanran launching another Weeze vegetation and one's rolling. So it's a dodged weapon. That's kind of a cool feature. The Asians whack the ground to make him flip back. So um, yeah, that's because there's no thing of the Titanrans which I've liked to apply. It's like hitting the ground to like shake the ground almost, especially nearby them. So yeah, it's really cool. And then so one Titan says, I bet use the communication spell to tell Carpo and Bond about this flying entity heading towards our land. And I guess we can assume this is the only mecha thing. And then another Titan goes, oh my, how many of these mech animals? So yeah, a bit like how many. Yeah, granted it's not specified, but just outlining anything isn't a joke in and of itself. But regardless, it's yeah. I guess just trying to give these Titrans some character. And yeah, this is definitely the land behind the wall. And yeah, I think this must just be a way of showcasing vegetation-based ground almost. And yeah, that's dirt as well. Um, yeah, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I do like the model of the Titan though. Yeah, it looks kind of cool, and it has that metallic look. Yeah, that seems to be a somewhat okay color palette. It's not like my favorite, but at least it's a definitive and an intentional contrast compared to the other vibrant colors we've been seeing. Okay, so Carpo, does it look and distract the turret will pull it apart? This thing is not going to knock on the door. Yeah, so I think this is probably their main tree once again. So it looks like it's heading towards there, sending the probably the most powerful like mech animal to try and wipe the rest of the Titarans, yeah, because the Blup seem to be keen on attacking them. But regardless, so yeah, Carpo has the vegetation, yeah, some tangling. Also not too keen on. I don't know what's happened to um, Vondor's tail, but it looks a bit too thick, so he's just holding him behind. Um, and you can see Scabia is completely separating himself. I think he's about to go on top, and yeah, and the turret is just there. We're distracting the yeah, with pointing at Laguna, so yeah, she can he can bounce from one place to the next. And yeah, I remember thinking of having this take place in the city, but in a city of some kind. But I didn't want to overcomplicate it, so yeah, it's better to stick to this world. So yeah, but anyway, yeah. Even if I don't understand what Scabe is doing there, yeah, I still really like yeah, that body morph. Yeah, it's quite satisfying to have a look at. Yeah, this is pretty much the battle in a nutshell, which yeah, I like well enough. Oh yeah, oh, let's go. So yeah, you can see that this Titan's completely erect here down, and you can see a bit of something's not quite erased here. We got a scratch there. Never mind. But yeah, that's like the land on the opposite side of the wall. Perhaps yeah, the wall could be hidden by this foreground. But anyway, so you've got the Titrans all standing about. The Blup's like, no, my creation might be done. And then Copper then says, look, enough of this. We apologise for closing your kind off. But from now on, you can spend out even buy anything from us. But no more conflict nor violence. You were on this world first, and we gave the world more life. I think we both should share. And then the Blob's like, okay, we have a deal. So yeah, not the most convincing transition or mind change, because yeah, a lot of that should be be thoroughly explored, but but yeah, I guess it's like an A to B somehow, but yeah, it's just not resolved in the best way. So yeah, it's just going for familiar territory. Yeah, when you're going for like a female story like this, yeah, it should be explored, just rather well, quite thoroughly, etc. And yeah, so I apologise for closing them off. So they probably felt a bit, um, a bit, closed off somewhere, and felt like they weren't given enough freedom, and that it was all about the Titanrans. But you know, then they clarified, that's not the case, and stopped with the violence. So yeah, they will be happy to share the planet in that. Yeah, because it looks like there's enough spare space, and yeah, they're just going to give them as much freedom as possible. Like, granted, they would have to negotiate, but at least that's something. The planet will have like half and half, or the Blups might have more, and the Titanrans might be able to adapt that way. No, they could cover more soil and expand the world that way, but I don't. That's not how planets work. Uh, yeah, yeah, I've got a wall page, so you'll see what it's like. All right, so the Titanrans and Blups learn to share the same world piece. There is yet to be more negotiation for what can be done to make up for the Blups, and more acknowledgement for where the Titanrans took over the planet when the Blups all went. Okay, not the best end of paragraph. Yeah, it doesn't have that finality, but never mind. But yeah, anyway, so you have them two seeing each other, which is nice. They're facing each other being like, hey, and then he's probably meant to be behind Carpeo. Looks like he's standing on top of him, which won't be very comfortable. Oh no, even that Titan's like phased out, and yeah, it's not correctly been applied into the cove, so that's not very good. So that's 2 errors. And yeah, I barely can't see what's his face, Gabe's eye. Yeah, it's just pretty much PL along those lines. But yeah, it's that's it to the story. So yeah, it's kind of similar to other stories where new protagonist comes into a world that it's meant to belong in, and only to find out there's something up. And yeah, and in terms of like the actual writing and the story, it's not. It's like on the surface, it's fresh, with a lot of fresher characters. It's part of a bigger universe already, and I do kind of like what's been expanded of the this universe. Like, even if they're still middling with the whole Blups and the Titanrans kind of thing, it's um yeah, it's vaguely alright at some places, because Laguna is endearing, despite everyone sharing screen time, and you have Ondor Carpo, they work together quite well, and yeah, some Titanrans have a character too. Scape, I think, is like the best character. You learn a bit more about him and the powers he has as well. They're super cool. And yeah, like some of the mech animals look kind of cool. I really like the egg I said earlier. The cameras coming along and Conqueror coming along. So yeah, it's definitely expanded on what's existing as well. So it's not all arbitrary. It's not. Yes, it's definitely not the best one, but maybe it being bigger gives it a bit of an advantage. But that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it's an Benoit story. Yeah, and this is still my favorite alien race. I really can't wait to have more of a play with them during the animations and such. Yeah, especially the main characters. And yeah, I think it's just okay. And some of the settings are better than others. I really like the Titan tree, and yeah, there's a lot of detail as well. It's only been a couple of times, but it was a bit overcomplicated. But yeah, it's just like a middle rank somewhere amongst these comics. Um, so yeah, and yeah, we'll go and we'll start right there, shall we? Okay, I'll see you next time.